Hey, my friends, I hope all is well with you. Today, I want to talk to you about Project Dunbar. I want to show you that this project from the BIS, that's the Bank for International Settlements, it's the central banks for all central banks. This project is built on the XRP Ledger as well. And if you've seen my other videos, I prove without a doubt that the shared ledger, unified ledger, the Finternet, regulated liability network, regulated settlement network, it's all the XRP Ledger. And what's happening is the central banks are using different terminologies, different words every time to try to confuse the community so that the community doesn't figure out that this is all the XRP ledger. Now, there are a few CBDCs seems to be being built on XLM. I think there's one that's public. Maybe one on XBAR, I'm not sure. But in general, 98% of the CBDCs are being built on the XRP ledger. It is the Finternet, the financial internet, the internet of value. So they call it the Finternet now because if they say the internet of value or the regulated internet of value, everybody's going to know it's Ripple. So Project Dunbar is just one of 43 projects. This is the BIS website. They have 23 projects ongoing, BIS Innovation Hub projects, 25 projects ongoing, and they have 18 that are concluded. The majority of them revolve around CBDCs. I've shown how many of them are technically the XRP ledger. I'm going through them one by one right now to show you that literally anyone there that is talking about the CBDCs is literally the XRP ledger. Any project there. So that's Project mBridge, Project Agora, Project Mariana. I've shown those three projects being built on a unified ledger, shared ledger, common CBDC platform. That's the XRP ledger. I've shown that in my videos already. I encourage you to watch those videos if you haven't watched them. And now today, like I said, I'm going to talk to you about Project Dunbar. Now, that being said, Quant is the interoperability solution for the BIS. Quant is an operating system that allows all of the legacy systems that exist today. So those are systems that cannot speak to blockchain. It allows all of those systems to connect into blockchain and build what are called multi-chain applications. MDAP. Only Quant does that. And so Quant is the interoperability solution. It is the Microsoft Windows for the fourth industrial revolution. It is the Microsoft Windows for the blockchain and AI age. But Quant is not the Finternet, Quant is not the unified ledger, it is not the shared ledger, and it is not the regulated liability network, but it plays an absolute crucial role for the unified ledger internet of value. Because again, it allows all the systems that exist today to connect into multiple blockchains, multiple DLTs, and like I said, build multi-chain applications. One of those blockchains is technically the unified ledger, the XRP ledger, that Quant allows the whole world to connect into. So I just want to make that clear. Quant plays a huge role with the BIS, but Quant over ledger is not the Finternet. It is not the unified ledger. A lot of the QNT community believes. I'm a huge fan of Quant. If you've watched my Quant videos, just go and watch my playlist on YouTube. I spent over 4,000 or 5,000 hours researching Quant. Literally nothing bigger than Quant. It's the internet of trust. With time, that might be a bit bigger than the internet of value, which is XRP, but I'm a huge fan of Quant. Again, if you've watched my videos, anybody that's watched my videos has said this guy has done a lot of research on Quant, but I encourage you to check out my playlist, Quant Overledger, QNT token. It's time for people to stop sleeping on that project. It is not a joke. When I see people screaming, oh, gold and Bitcoin, it really breaks my heart. Honestly, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You have to do your own research. This is for entertainment purposes only. But when people are screaming about Bitcoin, talking like it's the best asset ever, you know that something's wrong, because Bitcoin is currently about 1,500 times more expensive than XDC. It is approximately 1,500 to 1,200, 1,500 times more expensive than QNT token. It is approximately 12 times more expensive than XRP. So I just wanted to explain that. You guys really have to look into Quant, QNT. It's not a joke. The train might be leaving, the boat and the train, everything's leaving. I think everything's leaving soon. And I think we're going into a massive utility cycle here. It's just something's got to give eventually. Utility's got to kick in, I think. So again, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, just giving you my opinion for entertainment purposes only. So Project Dunbar here. Oh, before I forget, guys, please like and subscribe. It means the world to me. It really helps my channel, and I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe. If you can do that, awesome. If you can't, I hope you enjoyed the video anyways. So Project Dunbar here, international settlement using multi-CBDCs. We're hearing that multi-CBDC platform again here. Right here, Project Dunbar explores how a common platform for multiple CBDC, multiple central bank digital currencies, exact same description as mBridge, and literally the exact same description as Agora, Project Agora. Isn't that interesting? Could enable cheaper, faster, and safer cross-border payments. So they're talking about a common platform for multi-CBDCs. So that's a multi-central bank digital currency platform for cheaper, faster, safer cross-border payments. Where have we heard that 100 million times? So here the document mentions the word common 57 times, and it mentions the word common platform 25 times. We'll go through a few of them. So multi-CBDC common platforms could make cross-border payments cheaper, safer, faster, and see them approach the efficiency of domestic payment systems. You don't say. So in Project Dunbar is a collaboration between the Bank for International Settlements, the Innovation Hub Singapore Center, the Reserve Bank of Australia, Central Bank of Malaysia, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is Central Bank for Singapore, and the South African Reserve Bank to explore how a common platform, isn't that interesting? I'm going to show you what that common platform is in a minute, my friends. I'm going to show you all the evidence that this is the XRP Ledger. So bear with me, you really don't want to miss this one. To explore how a common platform for multi-CBDCs, a same thing, again, here, a common platform. Let's go through it real quick. So here again, how a common platform, again, a common platform for cross-border. It's common platform 25 times. It talks about a common platform for CBDCs. And it generally says a multi-CBDC platform. This is a multi-CBDC common platform. So again, it mentioned 25 times. So now I've typed in here in the document, shared platform. This is the original document for Project Dunbar from the BIS. This is right on the BIS website. This is the official document, the report. So 16 times it mentions a shared platform. We're going to go through a few of them. Don't miss this one, my friend. Do not miss this one. If you're an XRP holder or you're thinking about holding XRP, not financial advice, but you do not want to miss this video, my friends. So shared platform, managing a multi-central bank shared platform. A shared platform implies a level of universality with features and capabilities that are common and available to all participants. Equal participants, a shared platform. So shared platform. So it talks about DLT here. So a multi-CBDC common platform infrastructure includes the servers, networks, and DLT platform. So this is a DLT. This is a ledger. This is a shared ledger. When they say shared platform, technically it's a shared distributed ledger that enables central banks to communicate with each other on a shared platform. Again, it's going to mention it over and over, the shared platform. So sometimes they'll call it a shared CBDC platform or a multi-CBDC platform. They'll call it a shared platform, a unified ledgers. Sometimes they'll say shared ledger. And then they used to say regulated internal value, but they changed the name real quick. They called it the regulated liability network for the UK. But in the US, they call it the regulated settlement network. But it's all the same thing. It's that unified ledger, that shared ledger. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. So this is a document here, and this talks about this is the regulated liability network. This is right on their website. This is literally the regulatedliabilitynetwork.org. And when you look for regulated internal value, right here, it talks about the original concept of the regulated internal value. I'm going somewhere, guys. Bear with me because you really don't want to miss this. So right here, it talks about a document that I showed you where the original concept of the regulated liability network. Let me zoom that a bit for you for a minute. Right here, origin of the regulated liability network concept. It was called the regulated internal value. And I've shown you this document. The first time Citibank ever mentioned the regulated liability network, they actually called it the regulated internet of value. But again, they changed the name because they say, hey, we can't call it the internal value. Everybody knows XRP is the internal value. Because Ripple has been preaching for 7 or 8 years, we are building the internal value. We're building the internal value, Ripple is the internal value. So that's why they cannot say internal value in all of these different CBDC documents and in their seminars, because everybody's going to know this is the XRP Ledger. Now there's a podcast right here, but it's like a 1-hour podcast. And the name of the podcast was called Regulated Liabilities and the Internet of Value Podcast. Isn't that interesting? So here, a shared ledger, right? Because Gilbert Verdian said we partnered with R3, who's bringing in the shared ledger, as in one shared ledger. When Gilbert Verdian of Quant was talking about the regulated liability network, he said they partnered with R3, who was bringing in the shared ledger. So it's mentioned here, if you look on top here, 10 times it mentions a shared ledger. A shared ledger can perform finality of settlement among participants. So it's mentioned 10 times a shared ledger would operate a shared ledger for the recording, transfer, and settlement of RLN. Remember, this used to be called the regulated internal value, my friends. So it mentions 10 times the a shared ledger, and the shared ledger, as in one, is mentioned 3 times. If you look here, I'm not sure if you can see that. So it's 3 times. So look at this here. Talks about central banks sending payments from sub A, sub B, so on and so forth. Then here it says, please note that these transactions are executed atomically on the shared ledger. This is so that the customer payment flow and the balance sheet updates on the branches. So it's the shared ledger, multi-bank basis, through the participation of multiple central banks in the regulated liability network scheme. Technically, it should say participation of multiple central banks in the regulated Internet of Value scheme. Okay, so this is Ripple's website. I've shown this before. I want to show it again for people who haven't seen it. It's very important because I get a lot of new people. Statistically, I guess 80% of people who watch your YouTube videos typically new. So it's always new people watching your YouTube videos as well. So it's very important for me to show this every time. And it doesn't hurt for me to remind the people who have already seen it too. My friends here. So Ripple pilots a private ledger for central banks launching CBDCs. This is in 2021, guys. This is 4 years ago that Ripple had platform to launch CBDCs. My understanding is Ripple is the only blockchain company that has a platform to launch CBDCs seamlessly, very easily. Ripple is the only one, as my understanding. So Ripple is piloting a private version of the public open source XRP Ledger that provides central banks a secure, controlled, and flexible solution for issuance and management of digital currencies. So just want you to know, Ripple has a CBDC platform, a private central bank digital currency platform that central banks can launch their CBDCs. But what I really want to show you is at the bottom, again, this is 2001, my friends. And at bottom here, Ripple says, and we're just getting started. We are also working on a fresh approach where central banks will be able to join a network of CBDC ledgers that enables full settlement interoperability while allowing each member to retain their monetary and technological independence. We believe that this will be a game changer for central banks and are excited to release more details on how it works very soon. This is in 2001. Ripple was saying that they were just starting. Let me read that again. We are also working on a fresh approach where central banks will be able to join a network of CBDC ledgers. So this is a multi-CBDC. This is mCBDC. This is a common CBDC platform because it's a network of CBDC ledgers that Ripple was launching in 2021. If they're telling you in 2021, they probably already had it in like 2018 or 2017. My goodness sakes, they're always like 10 years ahead of what they tell you. So again, this is a network of CBDC. This is your common platform, my friend. This is your common CBDC platform. This is your multi-CBDC platform. This is your mCBDC that you're seeing in Project Agora, in Project mBridge, in Project Dunbar. You're also seeing mentions of that in Project Mariana. Numerous different CBDC projects are always talking about a common CBDC platform, like I said, a multi-CBDC and so on. Now, going back to this document here, Project Dunbar, I showed you how it mentioned like a common CBDC platform like 56 times or something like that. Keep that in mind. And guys, I'm fully aware that it's talking about R3 here and Quorum in Project Dunbar. It's really putting a focus on Quorum and R3, but I don't care how they phrase it, what they say. There's no way. This has to be the XRP Ledger because the Ethereum network and Quorum doesn't have a multi-CBDC platform. It doesn't have the XRP Ledger for settlement. It doesn't have the liquidity. It doesn't have RippleNet because you need the network as well. It doesn't have everything the XRP Ledger has. So if they're talking about quorum in this document and they're talking about R3 Corda, the shared ledger is the XRP Ledger, and quorum has to be somehow interconnected into XRP Ledger. If quorum is involved in this project, which they're saying it is, it definitely has to be the XRP Ledger that they're using. There is no ands, ifs, or buts here. That's what it is. There is no other platform like the XRP Ledger for CBDCs and multi-CBDCs. Guys, I'm going to show a clip here of a video. Many of you have watched it already, but it's very important, like I said, to establish this for anybody that's watching my videos for the first time. Because, like I said, 80% of people that land on my YouTube videos, it's the first time them watching, so they likely have not seen this. And again, it doesn't hurt for you to see it again. But here in this video that I'm going to show you a clip, I prove 100% that the shared ledger, regulated liability network, the regulated settlement network, the unified ledger, and the Finternet are all the same thing. It's all the XRP Ledger, but the central bankers are using these different names, like I said earlier, to confuse everyone so that we can't really pinpoint, that we can't really figure out that, oh, this is all the XRP Ledger. So in this video, I'm going to show you 100 million % proof that it's all the same thing. It's all the XRP Ledger, and I was the first one in the community to really establish that and show that. And so I'm very happy to share this with you again if I don't show these things. So right here, Gilbert Verdian, when he's talking about the regulated liability network, he says, we also partnered with R3, who is bringing in the shared ledger where all of the tokenized assets will reside. So he just finished saying that they provide the programmability, interoperability, and the banking grade API for the project. And now he continues to talk.
We're also partnering with R3 on the project, which are bringing in the shared ledger where all the tokenized assets will reside.
So Quant is partnering with R3, who's bringing the shared ledger where all of the tokenized assets reside. Tony McLaughlin from Citibank said that when he was talking about the regulated liability network, Citi Digital Dispatch, episode 1, regulated liability network, this was about maybe 6 weeks ago. He was talking with Ryan Rugg, head of digital assets for Treasury and Trade for Citi. This is where he talks about 25,000 data centers, 25,000 databases, separate islands of data. He's talking about banks, how they all have different data centers. And shared ledger and blockchain, you've got a common database, essentially. So the question is there a possibility to migrate the traditional banking system? So take same kinds of institution, take the central banks, commercial banks, and fintechs and migrate them onto a shared ledger. What did Gilbert Verdian said? He said, the shared ledger. We're partnering with R3. They're bringing in the shared ledger. And here he says, and that's what the regulated liability network essentially is, the RLN. So now we know that the shared ledger and the regulated liability network is exactly the same thing. So this is a document from Deutsche Bundesbank in July 2023. In this document, they're going to admit that the regulated liability network, when it was originally mentioned by Citi, it was actually called the Regulated Internet of Value. Let's start at the beginning. In essence, the Regulated Liability Network is an interoperable network of commercial banks and central bank liabilities. The aim of the infrastructure is to improve national and international payments by using distributed ledger technology. The concept originates in the article entitled The Regulated Internet of Value, published by Citigroup in 2021. So the first time was ever mentioned, the Regulated Liability Network. The first time was ever mentioned, they called it the Regulated Internet of Value. But they stopped saying that. They said, we can't call it the Regulated Internet of Value because everybody's going to know that's XRP Ledger. That's Ripple and the XRP Ledger. So we can't call it that. So then they started calling it the Regulated Liability Network. And for the US, they call it the Regulated Settlement Network. Or they say Shared Ledger Technology or Unified Ledger. And they're changing names every time so that we can't figure out what the heck it is. Oh, is XRP Ledger involved? Is it Quant? No. So bear with me. So watch right here. The Bank for International Settlements, BIS, describes the idea of a common programmable platform on which tokenized forms of money circulate as holding great promise. Instead of Regulated Liability Network, instead of RLN, the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, uses the term Unified Ledger. Let me say that again. Instead of Regulated Liability Network, the Bank for International Settlement uses the term Unified Ledger and stresses the importance of governance of a common platform in which the central banks would have to play an important role in a position paper. So now, this document is proving that the BIS calls the Regulated Liability Network, they call it the Unified Ledger. So now we've got confirmation, if you've been following carefully here, the shared ledger, Gilbert Verdian said they partnered with R3, who's bringing the shared ledger. Tony McLaughlin confirmed that the shared ledger and the regulated liability network is the same thing. I showed you a document saying that the regulated liability network and the regulated Internet of Value, technically the Internet of Value, is the same thing, which Ripple built the Internet of Value. We know it's Ripple. So shared ledger, regulated liability network, and the Internet of Value, called the regulated Internet of Value, is all the same thing. Now I've just showed you in this document right here that the unified ledger and the regulated liability network is the same thing as well. So all four are the same. Shared ledger, regulated liability network, regulated Internet of Value, and the unified ledger are all the same thing. Got it? Got it, guys? Good? Keep watching, my friends. All right, so in this document here, it says right here in blue, the regulated liability network. It's a bit cut off there, the way that it was copied. I'm not sure why, but the regulated liability network could bring several benefits. For example, the RLN may offer potential for a new global settlement infrastructure based on regulated issuers and instruments that could support both domestic and cross-border use cases. Isn't that interesting? Cross-border use cases. Where did we hear that 1 trillion times? XRP Ledger, right? Ripple. By including central bank money from multiple jurisdictions, it has the potential to create a global real-time gross settlement. So the regulated liability network has the potential to create a global real-time gross settlement capability. Global real-time gross settlement. Global RTGS. So now we know that the shared ledger, regulated liability network, regulated Internet of Values, technically the Internet of Value, the unified ledger, and the global real-time gross settlement, the global RTGS, are all the same thing. Here in this document, when it's saying that it has the potential to create a global real-time gross settlement, has the potential, they're lying to you here. It's not just potential. It is creating it. It's already created. But as I told you before, these guys always talk as if it's theoretical. It's a theory. It's a concept. We're testing it. We're going to see if it could work. The global real-time gross settlement system was created years ago. They've been planning it for almost 20 years. I'm going to show you a document here. So it's already, according to the timelines that we've seen from the Hyperledger Foundation, it's already fully laid out right now as we speak. 2025, it's laid out. So when they're saying it could, they're lying to you here. It's all they know how to do, these guys, is lie and deceive. It's all they know how to do, the central bankers. So this is a document I showed you before. This came from the Hyperledger Foundation. It is now called the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust. It's the LF Decentralized Trust is what it's called now. This document surfaced about 8 years ago, give or take. It's almost impossible to find it now. So I do apologize if the document is chopped up there. It's just because I had to merge all the screenshots that I had taken from this document because I can't find it anymore. So again, this is pretty much the most powerful consortium in the world involving all the central banks, commercial bank, tech companies, fintechs, corporations, and on. And now it's called the Decentralized Trust. This is a document that came out. It was specifically referring R3, Ripple, and the XRP Ledger, and the Interledger protocol. So it was Ripple, R3, and the Interledger protocol were the main players, technically the main players in building this Internet of Value. So ILP, and remember, like I talked in my other videos, when we see the documents coming from the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, we always see that it's the Interledger protocol that's connecting the unified ledgers. But for now, I just want to jump right here so we don't lose our train of thought here. So this document showed that the global RTGS, remember how I told you this document, the BIS was saying that the regulated liability network could become the global real-time gross settlement. What do you have here, my friends? And I know I showed this for you guys that have seen this before. This is for the people that haven't seen it. So I do apologize for those who've already watched the video, but this is very important to show, because I didn't show it this way. I showed it a bit differently last time. So the global RTGS is the XRP Ledger right here. And you have the Interledger protocol, ILP. So the central banks, the RTGS system, all the central banks and the commercial banks, local payments, are connected to the global RTGS, which is the XRP Ledger. They're connected via the Interledger protocol, ILP, 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 ILP. And at the bottom here, it says that The interledger protocol will enable financial institutions and central banks to make their existing infrastructure and processes interoperable with other currencies, asset classes, and the XRP Ledger, the global liquidity marketplace, and the global decentralized RTGS. So right here, this document is showing clearly that the XRP Ledger is the global RTGS. And the document I just showed you said that the regulated liability network could become the global RTGS, which is the XRP Ledger. So now we know that the shared ledger, Gilbert Verdian said they partnered with R3 for the shared ledger, where all of the tokenized assets will reside. We know that the shared ledger, the RLN, is the same thing because Tony McLaughlin said that. Then we know that it's also called the regulated Internet of Value. And we also know that the BIS, when they talk about the regulated liability network or the shared ledger or Internet of Value, they call it the unified ledger. We have another document. It also says that the BIS also says that the regulated liability network or the unified ledger, same thing, has the potential to become a global RTGS. And here I have a document showing that the XRP Ledger is the global RTGS. And let me show you another document. So this document from the BIS, we always see this document everywhere. This is the FinTernet, financial internet. They're calling the FinTernet now because they don't want to say Internet of Value. So instead of saying Internet of Value, everybody knows it's Ripple. They call it the FinTernet, financial internet, Internet of Value, financial value, financial Internet of Value. They call it the FinTernet. You see here, they call it Unified Interledger Protocol now, like I said. It's the Interledger Protocol. There is no other Interledger Protocol. There's only one, and it's Ripple, the company who built the Interledger Protocol. So they can call it the FART Interledger Protocol. They can call it the PP Interledger Protocol. They call it whatever the heck they want to try to deceive us. So there's only one Interledger Protocol. It's Ripple that built it. The XRP Ledger is built on top of the Interledger Protocol, and the XRP Ledger has a decentralized exchange built on top of the XRP Ledger. Sorry, I said that very quickly. Sorry. The Interledger Protocol was built by Ripple. The XRP Ledger is built on top of the Interledger Protocol. So that's why you're seeing here the unified ledger being connected via the Interledger Protocol. So this is a better document. I should have showed you this one instead. So the Interledger Protocol is connecting Unified Ledger 1 to Unified Ledger 2. Unified Ledger 1, Unified Ledger 2. Because, as I explained before, the XRP Ledger has numerous private ledgers. Central banks are building their central bank digital currencies on private ledgers of the XRP Ledger. So they're like a carbon copy clone of the XRP Ledger. It has the same features as the XRP Ledger, except it's a private ledger. I used to say sidechains, but that's not the proper terminology. I shouldn't call it a sidechain. It's technically a private ledger. Some people would say it's still a sidechain, but I think that the exact proper terminology is to say it's a private ledger because sidechains are slightly different. And we see that from the interviews from Ripple. I showed that in other video, but that's why you see the Interledger Protocol connecting Unified Ledger 1 to Unified Ledger 2. And right here again, you're seeing what? You're seeing this would be a unified ledger here. So this would be the main unified ledger, the XRP Ledger. And then you would have ILP here, ILP, and you have central bank, RTGS system, Bank of Japan, Target 2, Fedwire, which is the US. These are the central banks here and their RTGS systems, central banks. So these are private ledgers, private ledgers, private ledger, private ledger. These are unified ledger. And this is the Interledger Protocol connecting to unified ledger. So private ledgers or shared ledger, you could call it private ledgers or unified ledgers because again, they're carbon copy clone of the XRP Ledger. Okay, so now I've proven for anybody that was new to my channel that the shared ledger, unified ledger, it's all the same thing, like I said there. Now let's go back to another document here. This is the Reserve Bank of Australia. So this is one of 4 central banks that are part of Project Dunbar. So Project Dunbar here. So this originally we read it on the BIS website, BIS document, and now we're looking at it here. This is the Reserve Bank of Australia, Central Bank for Australia. And again, it's going to talk about Project Dunbar developing 2 prototypes for a shared platform that could enable international settlements using digital currencies issued by multiple central banks. So international settlements using multiple central banks on a shared platform. What a coincidence, right? It's that shared platform again. So this is a different media release, slightly different. This is Reserve Bank. Let me see here the dates here. This was 2022 and March 2022. This one was September 2021. Same thing, was talking about Project Dunbar, talking about shared ledger. And Ripple is the only distributed ledger company, the only blockchain company on the cross-border payments task force for the BIS. This is the BIS. This is the Committee on Payment and Markets Infrastructure. Gilbert Verdian said they want to create a new financial market infrastructure. And here's the Committee on Payments and Markets Infrastructures. This cross-border payments interoperability, so this cross-border task force, the only blockchain company on this committee for the BIS. This is the same organization that has Project Dunbar and Project Agora and Project mBridge and so on, which describes the same thing. It all describes technically this unified ledger, shared ledger, this XRP ledger. Ripple is the only company right here. Ripple. It's the only blockchain company. Look, I'll go through it. You can see. It's the only blockchain company on the BIS cross-border task force. Oh my goodness, isn't that interesting? And all of these platforms, so for example, Dunbar, it's about cross-border. It's a multi-CBDC platform or a common platform or a shared platform that does cross-border. Wow. There's what, 100 million coincidences? Like, how many angles did I prove it that this is the XRP Ledger? Guys, like, it's not Bitcoin. I have nothing against it. That is what it is, but it's not Bitcoin. It's not Ethereum. It's not Solana. It's the XRP Ledger. So I don't know the naysayers. I'm not sure. Maybe they haven't researched more than 5 seconds in regards to the XRP Ledger. I don't know. I don't know how anybody can basically say that XRP is a scam token. Like, it's a crap coin, it's going to go to zero. That's, oh my goodness. Anyways. So guys, that's the general idea of Project Dunbar. Definitely the XRP ledger, and R3 is involved. Again, it's a shared ledger, and we see Quorum involved. And to me, I don't know if Quorum, how it's tying into the XRP ledger, but if Quorum is involved here, and if Quorum is not the XRP ledger, then obviously Quorum, it's definitely not the international CBDC payment platform, unless it's another name that they're using for XRP ledger, or they're tying into whatever, I don't know. But the BIS is very good at deceiving us. And in this document, in the BIS document, they talk about Quorum, the Quorum blockchain, and so I don't know what it does on there, but it's definitely the XRP ledger that Project Dunbar is using for cross-border CBDCs and all that good stuff. So guys, that's it for now. I really appreciate your time. I started doing consultations. You can see the link. I'll try to remember to post in a video, or if you go on my YouTube channel, if you go in the description, you'll see it there. Not going to do too many, just focusing on my YouTube channel and so on. I might do maybe 2 or 3 per week, 4 per week maximum. But if you guys are looking for consultation, not financial advice, like I said, there's a link there. You can book a time. And that's pretty much it, guys. I appreciate your time and your support. And please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I'm wishing you a great day, great evening, great night, wherever you are. And God bless you all. Thank you.